I'm not a violent person. I'm not a monster. This wasn't planned. This wasn't calculated. This was self-defense. I was being jumped and beaten.
Was it self-defense or was it murder? That is what is up for debate in Akron, Ohio before a judge. Welcome to our first hour of Court TV Live. I'm Julie Grant. This trial we're calling the medical assistant murder trial. The defendant, Quinton Nixon, is going pro se, and he's trying the case before a judge, not before a jury. The victim is mother Toni Westover. Leaves behind a 9-year-old child. Before we get you inside the courtroom, let's get you caught up on the facts of this case and how we got to the point of trial. Court TV's Kelly Craft reports.
I promise that my family will not stop until justice is served.
34-year-old Toni Westover was shot and killed on July 25th, 2022. She was the mother of a little girl. She was also a medical assistant.
She loved her daughter. She loved her family. She was a beautiful person inside and out.
According to investigators, Westover and her boyfriend went to an unknown person's home.
When they got there, she texted her friend between 1 and 1:30 and said, something doesn't feel right, something feels off. And at 2 to 2:15, she was shot and killed.
A man who said he was inside the home called 911, but he was unclear about what happened.
Do you know who shot her?
No, I don't.
Early in the investigation, police were looking for several people who were in the home at the time of the shooting. Police put a warrant out for Quinton Nixon's arrest. About a month later, detectives got a tip about a home where he was hiding. After an hours-long standoff, police found Nixon in the attic and arrested him for Westover's murder. In his handwritten court filings, Nixon claims he did not purposely cause Westover's death and that he did not have a gun. He says there was a fight that he did not start. There were 2 guns at the scene, and he says he shot the gun because he was in fear for his life. Westover's family does not see it that way.
You took an innocent life, and I hope every night when you lay down and close your eyes, you see her beautiful face, and what you did to her haunts you for the rest of your life.
Kelly Craft reporting there for us. Now, while we wait for the judge to take the bench, let's look back at Tuesday's biggest moments as the state calls the victim, Toni Westover's boyfriend, as a case witness, and he describes what happened before Toni was shot.
So everybody is enjoying themselves, having a good time.
Yes.
Okay. You're in the living room sitting next to Toni, you said.
Yes.
Where is the defendant?
He was sitting across from us, talking. He was talking with us.
You said he was sitting across from you, talking to you?
Yes.
Okay, I want to make sure we get this correct. And will you please use your pencil and put
Yes.
an X where you were sitting? Oh, you know what, I keep looking. Okay, can you put a circle where Toni was sitting? And can you put an X where the defendant was sitting? Okay.
I was on my phone. Next thing I know, Toni gasps. He had grabbed her gun. Quinton grabbed her gun.
How did her gun get out?
She was going through her purse.
Okay, now you can tell that part. I know I stopped you before.
Yeah.
I apologize. Talk about how her gun got out.
All right, so she was going through her purse looking for something. I don't know exactly what she was looking for, but she had taken it out, set it on the table. I jump up,
Okay.
start talking to him. Slim is in the kitchen and starts yelling at her.
Okay.
Now,
What are you talking to him about?
I'm trying to calm him down, and he's asking me if she's the police, which I was like, no. I'm trying to calm him down, like, what are you doing, man? You're tripping, put the gun down, relax.
When you say calm him down, I know he had the gun. How is he acting like when he's saying?
Like he was out of it.
Okay. It's hard to describe.
It's just, you know, it's hard to, it's just like, I wouldn't say he was panic-stricken. He wasn't panic-stricken, but he was definitely, it's hard to explain. You'd have to do drugs to understand.
Okay.
He was in another world, like, as far as, he was convinced that she was a cop, and he was looking at us to verify that she's the police, and I'm sitting there telling him no. Slim's yelling at him, screaming at him, telling him to put the gun down.
Okay. What happened after that?
Everybody was froze for a minute. I could see he was thinking about it. And Toni's over here, she's scared to death. Toni twitches, and he snatched her up, yanked her across, literally drug her over the table pretty much. I tried to push her out the way.
You tried to push Toni out the way?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then at that point, him and I locked up. I bit into his face. I'm wrestling him for the gun. Then Toni, she was on the couch.
Was she moving?
No.
Did this happen quickly?
Yeah, it happened quickly.
Who shot Toni Westover?
Quinton did.
Oh boy, okay, we got a big thing that happened just there, the identification of the defendant. This witness, the boyfriend of the victim, saying that he saw the defendant shoot and kill his partner. Let me bring in one of our favorite legal analyst guests. He is a former prosecutor. They call them solicitors in South Carolina. He was the elected solicitor, the youngest in state history, I believe, too. Retired SLED agent, also current lawmaker, now attorney Toni Pope on the show. Good morning, Tommy. Good morning. All right, the clip we just saw there, how key is that? That moment, even though it may seem like to anybody watching, like, oh, okay, so that's a moment, so he says it was him. For a prosecutor, you need that moment, do you not?
Oh, absolutely. And, you know, I thought it's a lot to unpack on what you just presented our viewers, because first you think, what's going on? And then you hear she's got a gun. And so, well, maybe there is something to this self-defense thing. Well, then you find out, I mean, I can tell you what happened. They're all partying. Somehow she goes in her purse. The defendant sees that gun, automatically thinks she's a narc. You know, I used to work undercover narcotics. You always had kind of a litany of things you would say if you accused me of being undercover. But it's this tense situation where he now thinks there's a police officer there, and ultimately shot her. And I think it's based on his paranoia of thinking she's a police officer. But going back to what you said, identification is crucial. It's interesting, again, we're in front of a judge, not in front of a jury. You know, I think that may be a strategic move that I probably wouldn't have done, knowing you can hang one of the 12 jurors to get them on your side. But it's going to be an interesting trial. But I think what happens, you got a drug-induced circumstance, and he decides she's a narc and shoots her.
Toni Pope, you just blew my mind. I want to just kind of pause and go back a second here. You were the first analyst to hear, for us to hear say that, and that is such smart analysis, because we're wondering, well, why? They're partying. He knows the boyfriend. You know, they had a connection before. You know, everybody's welcome in this area. Everybody's getting high, having a good time, and suddenly, why is he taking her in another room? Why is he holding the gun to her head, as witnesses said? It didn't happen immediately. You know, there was something going on. Tommy, as you said, he thinks she's a narc. We didn't know you worked undercover narcotics either, so go back, talk to us a little bit more about that experience that you have and why you're coming to this conclusion. This is such a brilliant one.
Well, we used to joke, you know, the first thing I would do if you made me, you know, because I'm too eager trying to buy drugs, or, you know, because I have a weapon. Of course, nowadays everybody has a weapon. But one of the things you would do, if you accused me of being a narc, I would say, Julie, why are you saying that? Are you law enforcement? And it kind of puts you on the defensive. So normally the guy that's going to sell you the dope, if you accuse him back, normally he'll still sell you the dope. But I think you got to figure, it's 2 o'clock in the morning, whatever drugs they're doing, you know, you heard the one boyfriend witness kind of say it's hard to describe. but he's clicked from enjoyment to paranoia, and he has decided, again, from what little we heard, that she's a narcotics officer. So now he's thinking of all the ramifications of if she is, are we about to, somebody about to kick in the door? Are we about to get arrested? All the things she just saw. And that happens too. Normally when the situation occurs, the narcotics officer is the friend of the friend. Like you said, he and the boyfriend knew each other, but maybe he didn't know her. And so, again, I'm not saying it's defensible, but that sounds like what's clicking in his mind. Now, he's taken it from what little bit we saw to more of a self-defense. It can't just be her attacking him. It's got to be something more, like all of them were attacking him. I think they may have to try to get that gun away from him to get him disavowed of whatever delusion was causing him to ultimately kill her.
Right, Tommy, to try to save her, right? So, he may have a truth in there when he's saying, he's being beaten up and attacked, but what, precipitated that is, I think, what you just shared with us. Best analysis I've seen so far in this. Tommy Pope, can't thank you enough for that. Now, as we go back into the courtroom, in a couple of minutes, we can be thinking about that. Were there indications that Quinton Nixon got a little paranoid there?
There you go.
The paranoia, huh? And then the drugs can exacerbate that paranoia, right? So it was meth was the drug of choice that day. Tommy, what do you know about that? Could that cause him to perhaps, perceive something differently than what it was?
Absolutely. I'm so old. In my day, it was crack cocaine and marijuana. But, now that the best, the amphetamine, the heightened sensitivity, same thing used to happen with cocaine. It adds a level of paranoia. I mean, it's really tailor-made, and it's almost you wish for his sake he'd come up with some defense that kind of fit that somehow. It doesn't get him out of doing it, but it may explain it, because the other thing, different states different ways, but evidence of flight, the fact that you're hiding somewhere, that you've been gone when the law enforcement's trying to find you, in our state can be used as evidence of guilt too. So it's hard to do the self-defense. He's going to have to do I don't trust law enforcement thing to be able to kind of hang on to that one, I think, too.
Right, Tommy. This guy really didn't do himself any favors. He had Don Milarczyk. Don, how great he is. He's one of the best defense attorneys out there, and very well known in Ohio, and knows the Akron area, and why this guy would choose to, I have no idea why he chose to represent himself here. Good luck to him in that endeavor. Tommy Pope, kindly stand by, please. We're going to hit a break, as the judge has let us know that she's going to be taking the bench approximately 9:15. And so we've got our cameras positioned for her honor as we're getting ready to go back into this bench trial in Akron, Ohio. We'll be right back.
When they couldn't sufficiently scare him, they killed him.
A young jogger chased and gunned down in South Georgia.
Ahmaud Arbery was hunted down.
Once that video got released to the public, everything changed.
They made their decision to attack Ahmaud Arbery in their driveways.
Should we have been chasing him? I don't know.
Victim to Verdict with Ted Rollins. All news Sunday night, 8/7 Central.
Only on Court TV.
If Toni and you felt uncomfortable, why would Toni pull her gun out?
She didn't pull her gun out. She set it on the table.
If you and her felt uncomfortable, why would she sit a gun on the table?
Why wouldn't she? It's going through her purse. She didn't think you were going to grab her gun and kill her.
Welcome back to Court TV Live. I'm Julie Grant. We're talking about the medical assistant murder trial set to pick back up any minute now in Akron, Ohio. The defendant has gone pro se. He's choosing to represent himself, and he's also chosen a bench trial rather than a jury trial. His right, of course. And so we're waiting for Her Honor to take the bench, and we'll go in live as soon as she does. This is over the killing of Toni Westover back in 2022, and the defendant is saying that he was attacked. He's being attacked by a group of people. They're all hanging at this house. We know there's some drugs being consumed, according to the state's evidence, and it is the victim's boyfriend who was just able to identify him as the shooter, as the person who shot and killed her. We know that he held her in a room, had the gun to her head, her gun that he found in her purse, according to the testimony. Now, let's take a look at the cross-examination of the boyfriend witness. So we're going back to what happened on Tuesday. And so he just IDs him, and now the defendant gets a chance to cross him. Let's take a look at what he says.
At the time of this incident, Toni was your girlfriend, correct?
Absolutely.
Do you remember stating anything to the nature that she was spying on you and she might have been an informant for the police?
No.
Do you remember my, how was I acting? What was my demeanor? What was my body language? What was I doing?
You was cool. Everything was copacetic.
You stated for the record that we got high on methamphetamines.
Absolutely.
At what point did we get high on methamphetamine?
I mean, from the moment when we first sat down, there was dope on the table. We were smoking.
At any point, did you feel uncomfortable?
No.
At any point, do you believe that Toni felt uncomfortable?
No.
You stated for the record today that you did not have a gun.
No, I didn't.
You also stated for the record that you had a warrant for parole at the time.
I did.
Can you state for the record the stipulations of parole and being around a gun?
Yeah. You're not supposed to be around a gun on parole.
Did you know that Toni had a gun on the way over there?
Yes, I did.
Wouldn't that violate your parole?
Yeah. I served my violation.
At the time, you stated on record today that she emptied her purse on the table to look for something, correct?
Correct.
And you're also stating that she put her gun on the table.
Yes.
Is it true that, first of all, do you see the detective that interviewed you in the courtroom today?
I don't remember what he looks like. I think I remember his name, though, Hornacek, I'm pretty sure. No, I can't remember the face, though, but I know the name.
Okay. Do you remember what date that was when you were interviewed by Detective Hornacek?
I don't. It had to be, I'll say that'd be somewhere around the beginning of August. Maybe the middle, I'm not quite sure.
You stated on record today that you didn't see Adam Wright with a gun until what was shown on camera?
No, I didn't say that. I said later until later on in the confrontation. I didn't know he had a gun when I first got there,
Okay.
no.
Can you state for the court how Can you state for the court how you bit my face? Was I standing up? Was I laying on the ground?
You were standing up.
Did I ever fire any shots at you?
I'm pretty sure going towards the floor. The gun went off. I'm pretty fighting, but you know what? To be honest, I don't remember. Besides, actually, yeah. Yeah, actually, you fired a shot.
You're stating on record that I fired a shot at you.
While we was wrestling?
Mr. Fields, are you high right now?
What kind of question is that?
Answer it, sir.
No, ma'am, I'm not. No, I'm not high.
Prior to us wrestling over this gun, you stated that Toni dumped her purse out and set her gun on the table.
I didn't say she dumped her purse out. I said she was going through her purse.
And you also stated that you didn't feel threatened by me in any form or fashion, correct?
No.
Do you remember what you said to Detective Hornacek in your...
I don't.
Do you remember ever stating that I bugged out?
You did bug out.
At what point did I bug out?
When you had that damn gun in your hand.
You stated today that Adam was in the kitchen, correct?
Yes.
You didn't see Adam with a gun out before then?
No.
Do you remember Adam pistol whipping me?
I remember hitting him hitting you.
You remember him hitting me with a closed fist or the gun?
I don't know whether he hit you with the gun or a fist, but I know he hit you.
If Toni wanted to leave, why would she pull her gun out?
She was going through her purse.
If Toni and you felt uncomfortable, why would Toni pull her gun out?
She didn't pull her gun out. She set it on the table.
If you and her felt uncomfortable, why would she sit a gun on the table?
Why wouldn't she? She's going through her purse. She didn't think you were going to grab her gun and kill her.
Okay, can we just stop talking about what somebody else thinks? Because nobody knows what she was thinking.
Well, I mean, that answers his question.
Sir.
I don't want to talk to him anymore. He murdered my girl.
Stop.
All right, so that was a look at what happened on Tuesday when Quinton Nixon cross-examined the victim's boyfriend.